There's going to be a soffit vent on that side, so it'll be
also, if you can do this, because I made sure she saw.
so we use that for this. And where the air will flow coming in, and then I'm gonna anyway, I'm gonna have to make it bigger, but it might be hard with the rafter vent. I'm gonna cover that up with insulating. And I'm gonna extend the roof go out, and hopefully it'll prevent. But I can see through there the I'll cut the holes larger. Put the vent covers over those. So yeah, for now it's done. So getting ready to put up these rafter vents to keep the heat out. As the sun hits the ceiling or hits the roof, you can feel the heat coming through the ceiling. So to keep the AC from running so hard, we're putting these rafter vents up to help with the ventilation before we put the insulation in. And so I just set this up to see. I'm gonna create some soffit vents right here that vent outside so that the airflow can flow in and out through the top of the roof. In between the insulation and the roof, there's gonna be like an air gap where air can flow out through the other. There's gonna be a soffit vent on that side, so it'll be able to flow in and out. And that's what these vents will be for. And so you see it creates like a gap for the air to travel through. So let's put these vents in place. Now we'll put some vents on the other side, and then the insulation will go underneath the soffit vent to help insulate it. You can feel a lot of heat up here by the roof. When the sun comes out, it gets real hot. So it should help the AC from struggling. So here's a cutaway view of how our ceiling and roof are built in our off-grid tiny house. We've got a monoslope roof, meaning it has just one continuous slope from the low side to the high side. Under the roof deck, you can see the rafter vents. These are the yellow channels that create an air gap between the roof and the insulation. That's what allows air to flow through and keep the roof cool. Right beneath those vents, there's a radiant barrier. That shiny foil-looking material you'll see me install later on. Its job is to reflect radiant heat from the sun, keeping it from transferring into the living space below. Here's what happens when you only put insulation directly against the roof, like a lot of people do. Without rafter vents or a radiant barrier, there's no space for air to flow. The sun heats up the roof, and that radiant heat transfers straight through the wood and into the insulation. Over time, the trapped heat and moisture starts to build up inside, making the space hotter in the summer, less efficient in the winter, and even risking condensation or mold. That's why adding airflow and a radiant barrier makes such a big difference. It keeps your roof breathing and your home balanced year-round. Ventilation is one of those things a lot of people overlook when converting a shed or building a tiny house, but it makes a huge difference. In a small space, heat and moisture build up fast, especially when you're cooking, running a wood stove, or even just breathing and living in it every day. Without a way for that air to circulate, all that heat gets trapped in the ceiling and starts breaking down your materials over time. Proper roof ventilation gives that hot, humid air a place to escape while pulling in cooler, drier air from below. It keeps your insulation dry, protects your roof from rot, and helps regulate the temperature naturally, which means your AC or wood stove doesn't have to work nearly as hard. For a small off-grid home like ours, that balance of airflow is what keeps the space comfortable, efficient, and built to last. I know Coco didn't have as many flies on.
She drank the water.
You drinking it?
Yeah, she didn't. I put the vanilla block by it. She didn't eat it or nothing.
You think she was thirsty?
Yeah.
She started drinking immediately?
Yeah, she knew because I made sure she saw me with the hose and saw the water, so she knew what I was doing. And it's funny because she knew because she got it. She was watching me like, what is that?
So now that we got all the radiant barrier put in between the rafters, now I'm gonna put the insulation. So I just gotta cut some rolls of the insulation. We got R19 insulation, so we'll use that for the ceiling. Just put it up straight up there like that. So getting ready to put a vent right here. I gotta go on the outside and see if I can reach it with the ladder. So this will be the vent from the south end where the air will flow coming in, and then I'm gonna put another vent on the north side, and then we'll have also a fan that blows out. So hopefully it'll be a passive airflow. We'll get some air that will blow in from the south winds. So you won't see it in this video, but I ended up slightly changing the design of our ventilation system. Originally, this vent was going to be a passive air intake that used the natural south winds paired with an exhaust fan on the north end of the house. But after thinking it through, I decided to flip the setup. Now, this vent will serve as an exhaust fan positioned over the kitchen, while the intake fan will pull in cool air from underneath the house. That way, fresh, cool air is constantly drawn in from the shaded, cool area below, while hot, humid air naturally gets pushed out through the top, keeping the whole house cooler and better ventilated year-round. And that will help reduce how much electricity we'll need, hopefully. But yeah. So this is what it looks like from the outside. We got a wasp nest. Over there, but yeah, so you can already see a lot of wind blowing in, so I might make it a little bit bigger. I'm not sure. I might have to cut the trim piece if I do make it bigger. But yeah, the wasps are already trying to fight me. But anyway, I might have to make it bigger to let more air flow in. I'm not sure, but it might be big enough. But it's actually working pretty good. There's a little bit of a breeze, not much. You can kind of see the trees. They're not really blowing right now, but when the wind starts blowing, you'll see it. But yeah, so it's a decent amount of airflow flowing through. It'll probably increase once I put the other vent on the other side of the house. The way we oriented the house, it's facing north to south. This is the south end, and the other side is the north end, so that when the wind blows, it can kind of flow through the house. So I'm gonna put the vent, I'm gonna put it across there, see how it fits. I'm gonna put the vent on, and I'm gonna see how well the air is blowing in, and we'll see. So I'm up here, up by the roof line, where the ceiling is at. I'm drilling these test holes to see where I need to put these vents for the baffles. They're rafter vents. So if you can see, we've got the insulation up on the ceiling. And so inside there's those baffle vents, or the rafter vents. And so I'm trying to see where to line up the holes. I'm gonna put vents right here for ventilation. This will be the exhaust side, and the other side will be the intake. And it should allow air to flow through above the ceiling by placing these holes here. So I gotta line it up with the baffles in between the rafters, so that gap, where it creates the gap, air will flow through. So I'm not sure if you can see it, but you can kind of see a little bit of the light. Can't really see it on camera, but there's an opening on the other side, on the lower end of the ceiling, to allow cooler air in, and then it'll let the hot air escape out. And so I'm just put one hole. I had to do this hole from inside to see where to line it up in the ceiling in there. So that's just below the rafter vent. I'm gonna cover that up with insulation. I had to pull the insulation out to see, and so the hole was too low. But I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna cut a 2-inch hole. I ordered some 2-inch vents to put in there. So I'm just gonna make these small holes for now, just to kind of see how it'll be and hopefully let a little air out. But I'm gonna cut a 2-inch hole around it once I line them up correctly, so I know where the vents are at. So I'm gonna measure where this is at. I think it'll probably be like 12 inches, but I'm gonna go inside and see. I'm gonna measure and put the holes all the way along the ceiling, so that way the vents will hopefully keep the house cooler. We'll see how well it'll work. So the way we have it set up is we have the insulation at the bottom, and then above the insulation there's the radiant barrier, and then above the radiant barrier is the baffle vents, and above the baffle vents there's a small gap that's where the air flows through. So this is where the gap is at. That's why there's an opening. That's why it's open. It's dark, but it's an opening in there. And so that opening should go all the way down to the lower end of the roof. And so this is the exhaust side. We got this. But yeah, so it'll come out this side. The hot air will come out this side, the front, and then you see how the Roof is shaped. Looks kind of messed up right now, but get up here. So I just put a bunch of small holes along the backside. It was kind of tough drilling through this metal, but I got most of them done. And so I'm gonna put a screen. I'm just gonna line a screen across these little vent holes. I put a lot of little small holes because it was just easier to do a bunch of small holes than it was trying to cut a big opening. And I'm gonna extend the roof to keep rain. Eventually we'll build out this area, the lean-to area and everything. So the roof will be extended to keep rain from getting into the vents once I put the screen over them. And so the screen will keep the bugs from getting in. And yeah, but hopefully put multiple holes. Hopefully they'll all be lined up. You can kind of see in that one the baffle vent, but so hopefully on this side the cooler air will come in through the lower vents. These are soffit vents pretty much. We're doing the soffit ventilation. So it'll come in through the lower soffit vents, and then it will hopefully come in and go up out the ceiling, and the exhaust will come out here and hot air can flow out, and hopefully it'll prevent hot air from being trapped in the ceiling, in between the insulation and the radiant barrier. So we'll see how it works. For now I'm just put the small holes, line them up, see where they're gonna go, and then it'll give me an idea when the vents get here. Sometime next week I'll put the vents in, drill the holes for that. But there'll be bigger holes, so it should get more airflow. But yeah. So I realized the first few holes I was drilling it too low. So I need to drill up here through the middle part. See if I can show. Can't really see it. But I can see through there, the other side. I can see the ventilation on the other side of the vent. So it's connected how it should be. I'm just drilling holes all the way across. Okay, so now all the holes are complete. They're kind of just marker holes right now, just to mark where I'm gonna put the vents. They're gonna be 2-inch vents, 2 inches in diameter, so they'll be a lot bigger than those holes. For now, there's kind of markers and temporary, just temporary vent holes to at least allow a little bit of heat out of the roof. But it'll help a lot more once we get the vents. Once the vents get here, I'll cut the holes larger. So now I know where they're gonna be, and hopefully I'll be able to cut the holes with the saw, the hole saw. I'm not sure how well it'll do on the metal. The metal is kind of tough, but we'll see. If I can get the holes wider, I'll put the vents in, and should be pretty good. So now I just got to finish the holes on the other side. I got almost all of them done. I just got to do the holes near the chimney and the shower area. So I'm currently drilling the holes. You can see them. Going all the way. I'm on top of the roof right now. So I got these holes. I just gotta finish going all the way to the end. And, see the other side. Then I got these holes. So these holes are further spaced out because they're bigger. They're gonna be bigger. The roof is pretty hot. So it's tough. Now I got all these holes done on this side of the roof. Let's see. That's how it looks. So I'm gonna cover all these holes with a screen, keep bugs from getting in them. And that'll cover that. And then the holes on this side of the roof. These holes, I'll widen those holes and put the vent covers over those. So yeah, but for now it's done. It's allowing airflow to flow through. It's made a big difference already. Just inside, you can't feel as much heat by the ceiling, which is nice. Thought about covering the roof at some point with something to keep the sun off of it. Because once it gets shaded, it actually cools down quick, but it gets hot with the sun on it. So that'll be good for now. I'm gonna wait for the vent covers to come in. Once they get here, I think next week, I'll probably put those up. And yeah. Yeah, you like that?